So New York City has officially chosen their new leader, and he is a man who goes by the name of Lord Zoran. Now, Lord Zoran happens to be the biggest contradiction that I've seen thus far in politics, and that's saying a lot coming from the Democratic plantation. Now, Lord Zoran is a Muslim, more specifically a jihadist sympathizer, a Hamas advocate, whilst at the same time being an alphabet community transformer activist. So he stands with those who stand with Hamas, while at the same time as standing for those who Hamas would lob off of a building. Oh, and also he is a genuine communist who believes that, grocery stores should be owned by the government. So that being said, there is an even deeper controversy that has currently taken place with Lord Zoran, and that is the fact that he has stated that he would like to tax white people. Now, of course, he's going to have his own way of articulating this, as we will see in a little bit, but we're going to really break it down for exactly what the hell he's saying. So without further ado, let's get into this. All rise, but all bow to your Lord Zoran.
We went on your website and realized there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed. We've seen time and again that this is a property tax system that is inequitable. It's one that actually Eric Adams ran on saying that he would change in the first 100 days. He's since sought to defend it and lost at every juncture in court.
And I understand you're saying we're simply describing the types of neighborhoods that would see these increase in taxes. And yet by invoking race, do you run the risk of potentially alienating key constituents?
I think I'm just naming things as they are. And ultimately,
I want to answer that for him. Not only is he going to rile his base up even more, this is exactly what they signed up for. Now, mind you, this is a man who has been appointed by white liberals. That's who voted for this guy. It wasn't the black New Yorker. It wasn't the Hispanic New Yorker. Right? Obviously, you had a large Muslim population because he was continuing to pander to them. But this is a guy who spoke directly to the white liberal in their sentiment, their own level of self-hatred. And so if you tell them that you're going to tax those whiteys, they're going to love you for it. Until, of course, they realize that they are the whitey. It's one thing when you first start hearing all of these sentiments of socialism, especially when you are either like extremely smooth-brained, you are underdeveloped in the northern regions. But it's one thing to simply be that, or maybe like you're 12, 13 years old, and another thing to be a full-grown, functioning, bodied, minded adult who believes that the idea of socialism is going to work, that it's not going to completely implode on itself. One of Lord Zoran's favorite statements is that billionaires should not exist. Here's how that works. Your billionaires, who 70% of them are self-made, it's not old money, that's new money, which means that they're stimulating the economy in real time. And we're not just going to negate like, the other 30% isn't doing anything for the economy. If they're buying, they're stimulating. If they're hiring, they're stimulating. Okay? So we have these millionaires and billionaires, according to Bernie Sanders, who all of a sudden find no incentive to do business in your part of the world. And so they leave. Okay, you don't want billionaires? Fine. We'll go where they do want billionaires. Perfect. They get out of there. So now you lose upwards to 45% of your tax base. And now who do you have left? Parts of the middle class, quote unquote, and obviously the lower middle and the poverty class. Now, what happens to the middle class when the billionaire is gone? The whitey, as he states. What happens to them? Oh, that's right. They become non-existent because you have gotten rid of the largest job creators, the largest tax base. So now the government is going to have to hire everybody. Where are they getting the money? Uh-oh, here we go. Chicago, who has their own socialist mayor in Brandon Johnson. Now you have $60+ billion in debt as a single city. Your city is imploding in and on itself. You have an influx of immigrants, i.e. invaders, individuals who are not supposed to be here, who are now getting the resources that you otherwise may get. And all of a sudden, you have Venezuela. Congratulations, you played yourself. Now, we're going to get back to the topic at hand here. Taxing the white. And again, we're going to get into the nuance of this because it's always sold to you in the way that you buy it. The devil don't come to you with, hey, I'm going to screw you over. It always looks good on the surface.
The thing that motivates me in this is to create a system of fairness. It is not to work backwards from a racial assessment of neighborhoods or our city. Rather, it's to ensure that we actually have an equal playing field. And right now, what we see with the property tax system is one that is overtaxing a number of New Yorkers and undertaxing others, and an inability of political will to resolve that.
So no plans to change that language on your website?
The focus here is to actually ensure a fair property tax system, and that the use of that language is just an assessment of the neighborhood.
Yeah, so essentially what he's saying is, yes, I stand on what I stand on. And that's one thing, when it comes to Lord Zoran, at least he stands on his foolishness. Like, these are some of the most idiotic ideologies throughout history, right? Since Marx was espousing this nonsense, it has been absolute garbage. But at least he stands on it. He doesn't run from it. He's 10 toes down. So I can at least give him that. Now, this is blatantly racist. Simple as that, right? Let's step away from this whole nonsense of, well, it is only the whites who can be racist, quote unquote, people of color. It used to just be black people, but now it's people of color. They just galvanize so they can get a larger voter base. So all of a sudden, we now have white people or neighborhoods that are disproportionately white. Now, why did he not mention the multitudes of wealthy brown people in New York? Because according to the statistics, many of the self-made millionaires and even billionaires, or the CEOs of these large corporations, etc., throughout the country, from West Coast in California to the East Coast in New York, happen to be brown people. Whoa. Indian, Pakistani. What do we, Asian? Well, they're white adjacent now, right? They're no longer people of color. They're white. Okay. What happens to them? Do they get to keep their very same tax bracket? Are they not taxed out the wazoo because they don't fit the criteria? This is incredible, folks. We've gotten to a place where you can not only just, be bigoted towards white folks. We've gotten to a place where you can straight up say, we're going to tax them different than everybody else. He could have just said wealthy and just left it at that. And still, that's idiotic, right? These liberals, far left, so-called progressives always push this idea of tax the rich, tax the rich, tax. It is a tactic. It is a ploy. They use it because they know it works. Blame it on the rich guy. Every single one of your problems is them. It's a ploy to not look at the government itself. The billionaires are causing inflation. Really? Because I thought that was a direct result of what the government is doing over there at the Reserve. Printing and printing and printing and printing money. It's interesting. So we're going to blame the individuals who are out there, more likely than not, actually creating an economy, right? Get rid of all the billionaires. Fantastic. You just wipe the entire S&P 500. And, there's people out there when I get in the subject matter. Well, you're defending the billionaires? Look, I'd rather have a billionaire who got it by selling product or service than I would have a millionaire who got it sitting their ass in Congress. Oh, and mind you, this guy actually doesn't have the power to push much of this policy. But of course, y'all don't care, right? As a mayor, he doesn't have that power. But in his current position, and this is something that Mayor Eric Adams actually pointed out, he's in a position right now where he can actually make these legislative changes. Surprise, surprise. It's kind of like, what's her name? It's Kamala Harris. Oh, well, when I get in there, I'm going to make sure that this and this and this and this and this is fixed. Sis, you're in the White House right now as a second in command. You could literally propose these things right now, but you're not. You're instead using them as a bait and switch. So that's what this guy's doing. Like, he's a grift like the rest of them. Is just, again, he stays on code. He stays on message. But white people having to pay more taxes, and he's saying that blatantly, outright, shows you exactly where we are. It shows you exactly where we are. We're in a place where it's okay so long as they have fairer skin. And I can't stand on that. In the same way, if I was born into context of slavery, Jim Crow, etc., I would be speaking in direct opposition to that. But now the tables have turned. The white liberal has gotten their greedy little paws into the damn system and imbued it with their own psychosis, with their own guilt for who and what they are. So yeah, white folks in New York, I would suggest, unless there's a big run for Eric to get back in there or somebody else, right, counterpart to this, I would suggest preparing yourself by either leaving if you can, or second best option is secure yourself financially. Put your assets otherwise elsewhere, because he's coming for you. He let you know. White, it's staying in the proposal. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising.